Okay, we're back with another sales conversation with Andy Shober. Andy, you picked another layup, another easy question today, which is, do they still not want to see your stupid demo? And what brought this about, I remember a couple of years ago in the software SaaS space, people were provocatively saying that no one wants to see your stupid demo. So do they want to see your stupid demo or not?
Oh, Bill, what a great question. I think if we look at this at its most core level, I'd start out, over the last couple of months, I've had conversations with two CEOs just in the last 30 days, but they're all saying the same thing. We don't have any trouble lining up demos. Getting demos isn't the problem. It's what happens after it. And I think when we look at this question, I still believe the underlying problem is the same as it was when the article and the stories you're talking about were first written, is what is the purpose and function of a demo out there? But to get at it, I think we need to look at what this has provoked in the sales cycle, how it's being used today, and what's the reality around this request a demo on companies' landing pages. Because I think it's very different than what many companies hoped when they got into it. First off, it's driving up costs. The number of demos that are being produced by most companies are actually far greater than there's need to be doing them at this point. I've actually been out to companies, and in the last month had 3 companies where, based on my inquiry alone, I was handed off directly to a salesperson out there. No qualification, nothing at all, just line me up with one of the most expensive resources to set me up to show me a demo. At the same time, what we're hearing, though, is from these companies that the salespeople are revolted, too, and saying that the drop rate between market qualified leads, which many of those are perceived to be, and sales qualified leads is over 50%, meaning that of these requested demos, at least half prove to be not worth salespeople's time at all. And what they're saying is it's stopping them from focusing on the properly qualified opportunities out there. How can I make my number if I'm spending all my time dealing with these unqualified leads out there? So what you have to look at then from a seller side is it really working? You've got no trouble getting demos, and it's not being effective at actually helping your salespeople close more deals. From the buyer side, though, the answers are just as telling in terms of the frustration. What I'm seeing from companies out there is that the goal of sellers to gather quite a bit of data from a prospect before they do the demo actually kills the effectiveness of this effort overall. When you look at tracking how prospects are flowing through your website and how they respond to your CTA in there, request a demo, if you ask for more data, I'm seeing drop rates that often exceed 85% of people that click on showing interest in getting a demo, but then don't even bother completing the form because they don't want to give out that much information. They just want to do a little bit of digging and a little bit of research. Maybe it's too early in the cycle. Maybe they're just gathering data. But what they're finding is that the less information you gather actually increases the chances of somebody going through and learning a bit about you. The challenge, though, on the back of this now is the unintended consequences of it. So you're seeing a decrease in accuracy of forecasting. Salespeople that are saying, okay, I've got more stuff in my pipe. My manager might be happy because I've now got 3 or 5 times pipeline coverage, but I don't know enough about these prospects based on how little I've been able to gather to see if there's urgency or a compelling event or what the real outcomes they're trying to achieve are. Second, we're seeing more price competition. Should we be shocked? I mean, if all you've given is a demo and you haven't understood the outcomes of what the prospect needs to achieve and the problems they're having, and you're just showing a demo yourself against your competitor, why else would you compete on anything but price out there? So finally, I think one of the big dynamics we're going to see changing over time with this is that the whole sales conversation is changing. This blows up gives and gets. If the prospect with one click and a little information has the ability to get a full-blown demo without sharing anything, we've got to rethink how we're doing discovery and those other pieces out there. Bill, I'm going to take one step further, and I'm going to say I believe we're going to start to see the more damaging effects of this over the next couple of years with dramatically increased churn rates. And what companies have to look at here is if you don't know the outcomes that your prospect really needs to address, and just having the software work Is that good enough? Versus if you just have sold them on feature and function, you're not going to know, are they likely to relist and extend their subscription with you? So I think we're going to see a big impact on churn. And right now, that's got to be a topic many companies are focusing on. How can we manage this better to not only increase our wins today, but manage the long-term churn rate with this whole request a demo and showing just a demo approach?
So you've got a number of potentially unqualified leads engaging with a demo. You're burning your most expensive resource in outside salespeople, and you're introducing the possibility for churn and all the deleterious effects there. So what do? Do you scrap the demo altogether?
I think the problem is the horse is out of the barn at this point. Buyers and prospects live in a world now where this has been happening long enough that people are used to getting information when they want it and how they want it. And I don't think that getting rid of the requested demo is the right approach to it. I think we've got to modify it in terms of the context of our overall sales cycle. But Bill, again, there is no silver bullet or single answer for this. Companies need to start out and they need to assess what's really happening. And I always believe, let's start with the numbers. Let's look at the KPIs. Let's see how people are responding to your CTA, what the conversion rate is from MQL to sales qualified leads, what your win rate is on those deals coming in, and really start to change how you're looking at the sales cycle. Tactically, though, I think we've got to get out of giving out a long, free custom demo right up front. I'm seeing companies having success with automating this process. Come up with a video that a customer or a prospect with just a click and sharing their email address can replace some of what happens in your first calls. Tell a little bit about what your company is, the problems you solve, and then show a little bit of how it works. So you're getting both what and how of this. But I think at a broader level, companies need to revisit their whole sales process based on those numbers and figure out some core questions, like who should really be handling leads? Is it your most expensive sales resources handling market qualified versus sales qualified leads? Also trying to say we're back to how do we take cost out? And that's a key part of that as well in there. But as you go forward, I think it's also going to force us to change how we look at discovery. Like we said, the day of doing a long extended discovery process up front just isn't working for more and more prospects out there. Yet if we don't do that discovery, it's going to have an impact on our win rate and our churn rate down the road. And I'm working with companies now where we're doing more iterative discovery. Go back to gives and gets. How do you give the prospect some of what they want to see while getting some information back and changing that discovery process so it occurs more through the cycle? Do you have people that would be handling these inbounds initially, starting it, getting a little bit, but we've got to collect and use data by the salespeople? So, Bill, sorry, there's not a silver bullet, like I said, but I think we've got to acknowledge the reality of what's out there, take a look at how it's working, and change our processes to acknowledge that that's going to be part of it as we go forward.
Sounds like a good alternative, Andy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill.